Hey everyone, welcome back and thanks for tuning in today. I got a new story to share, so let's dive right in. Let me begin by saying I never imagined I'd be telling this story, especially because I used to dismiss these kinds of situations. My name is Jack, and if you've ever been in a relationship where things suddenly started to feel off, then this one's for you. You know, when most guys hear their partners say, I need space, the first instinct is panic. But if you ever find yourself in this situation, let me give you a bit of advice. Don't beg, don't argue, just play it cool. Let me take you back. My wife Emily and I had been together for 14 years. Our relationship wasn't perfect. No one's is. But I always thought we had a solid foundation. We'd weathered our fair share of storms, but in the end we were always a team. Or at least that's what I believed. Then things started to change. Conversations became shorter. She started staying up late more often, phone in hand, her face glowing in the dark. Whenever I asked what she was doing, she'd brush it off. Just scrolling or texting a friend. At first, I let it slide. Everyone deserves some privacy, right? But then, I started to notice more. She began laughing at messages she wouldn't share with me, and suddenly she started guarding her phone. She would tilt the screen away or set it face down when we were at the table. There were nights when she'd get a text, and instead of responding right away, she'd leave the room. That's when I started to feel uneasy. If you've been with someone long enough, you know when something's off. I tried to tell myself I was overthinking it, but deep down I knew something wasn't right. One evening she sat me down with this serious look on her face. I'll never forget how she looked at me that night. After dinner she set her fork down, took a deep breath, and looked me in the eyes. Jack, I need space to find myself. My mind processed those words, but my body froze. I didn't react right away, just a quiet sinking feeling in my chest, but I didn't let it show. I nodded slowly, leaned back in my chair, and repeated her words, keeping my voice neutral, almost amused. Space, huh? I said, almost casually. She seemed taken aback. That's when I knew this wasn't just about needing time to think, and something was going on. My gut was screaming at me, and when your gut speaks, you listen. I asked her what she meant exactly. Did she need time alone in the house? Did she want to go somewhere? Was she feeling overwhelmed? Her responses were vague, things like, I just need to figure things out. It didn't make sense. I watched her closely, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting with her fingers, and in that moment, I decided I wasn't going to ask 100 questions she had already decided not to answer. Instead, I was going to find out the truth for myself. I started digging. Sometimes the truth isn't buried deep. It's just sitting there, waiting for someone to notice. First, I checked her phone records, no big deal, just seeing if there were any recurring numbers. And sure enough, one kept popping up. Next, I looked through her social media, paying attention to the subtle things. Who was liking her posts? Who was commenting? And more importantly, who was she suddenly following again? That's when I saw it. A familiar name. Her ex-boyfriend from high school. The guy she always talked about, like some unresolved teenage romance. And there he was, back in her life. At first I didn't panic. I told myself it could be innocent. Maybe they just reconnected. But when I saw the messages, the long conversations, the emojis, the just thinking about old times texts, I knew better. These messages had no place in a married woman's inbox. I could have confronted her right then and there, but I didn't. I didn't say a word because when someone asks for space, they've already made up their mind. They just want you to agree so they can feel less guilty about it. Here's the thing. When a woman asks for space, she expects you to chase her. She wants you to call, text, show up with flowers, and beg her to stay. So I did the opposite. I gave her the space she asked for. If she didn't talk to me, I didn't talk to her. And when she did speak to me, I kept my responses short, polite, but distant. No cold attitude, no passive-aggressive behavior, just controlled indifference. And since I wasn't wasting time begging for her attention, I focused on myself. First stop, the gym. I started hitting the weights harder than ever before. It wasn't about impressing her, it was about putting my energy into something that actually benefited me. Next, I updated my wardrobe. I got a new, well-fitted clothes and tossed out the old stuff she'd never even noticed. Fresh haircut, clean shave. Every morning I looked in the mirror and saw a man who wasn't waiting around to be chosen. The best part? I started hanging out with my friends again, guys I hadn't seen in months, even years. I wasn't sitting at home wondering where she was. Emily had her support system, her friends who told her she deserved to be happy. But they started noticing the change in me. When I ran into them, I wasn't the bitter, heartbroken husband they expected. I was confident, relaxed, and unbothered. And they noticed. At first it was subtle. A glance, a lingering smile, a casual, "Wow, Jack, you're looking good these days." Then it escalated. Compliments turned into curiosity. And Emily noticed it too. She saw the way they laughed at my jokes, how they lingered in conversations with me. At first, Emily was enjoying her so-called freedom. She thought she'd made the right choice. But soon, her excitement turned into unease. She wasn't expecting the changes in me. She thought I'd be sulking, waiting around, desperate to prove my worth. But I flipped the script. I'd moved on with my life. The first signs of jealousy came in small, fleeting expressions that she tried to mask. But I saw it. The way she tensed up when her friends giggled around me. The way her best friend started being extra nice to me. I wasn't doing anything special. I was just being me, but better. That's when Emily realized she was losing me. The thing she thought she wanted, space, was now turning against her. And she couldn't help herself. One evening she walked in and casually asked, "How was your day?" Simple, casual, but I didn't give her what she was hoping for. "It was good," I said. That was it. No details, no excitement, just neutral. I wasn't mean or rude, but I made sure she felt the change. She was no longer my priority. I could see the disappointment in her eyes. She was expecting more, but I wasn't giving it to her. A few days later, she tried again. She put in the effort, talking to me more, asking about my plans, commenting on my appearance, and even suggesting we go out for dinner. I knew what she was doing, but I wasn't about to make it easy for her. I played it cool. "Maybe let me check my schedule," I said. That answer hit her hard. She thought I'd be relieved, eager for her to come back. But now she had to sit with the uncertainty she'd thrown at me when she asked for space. And then came the dressing up. She started wearing the outfits I liked, fixing her hair, and wearing perfume around the house. It was obvious. She wasn't doing it for herself. She was doing it for my attention. But still, I didn't bite. I was composed, in control. It was only a matter of time before she cracked, and when she did, I made sure to remember every detail. One night she admitted her mistake. "I think I made a mistake," she said, her voice softer now, uncertain. "I don't need space. I need us." I leaned back, letting her words settle. Then I gave her the answer that had been waiting on my tongue for months. "I gave you space because you asked for it, but now I'm not sure I want to go back to how things were." Her face fell. That's when she knew. The power had shifted. She realized she'd played herself. But by that point, it didn't matter anymore. I was done. "You wanted space," I said, my voice steady, and I realized I deserved someone who never needed it in the first place. And just like that, it was over. She sat there stunned, unable to process how the man she thought would always wait for her had slipped right through her fingers. And that was it. I was done. I was already moving on,